Shall we shuffle on to our first topic, which is literally nothing, no article. I just want to talk about it because the articles are kind of pointless, to be fair. I just want to talk about the writer's strike. It's over. Hollywood is back, but is that a good thing?
What
do we
though?
think? Well, yeah. Well, they shook on it and they were going to go back and propose it to everyone else, weren't they?
Yeah, because that's my understanding. Is it's not totally set in stone, but they're mostly, possibly, surely could be back to work here very soon. At least the writers, anyway. This is not the actors. Keep in mind.
Well. So let's give a rundown of that. So the WGA and the AMPTP had an agreement, I guess, in principle. That's another way of looking at it. So the AMPTP said this is our best and final offer. The WGA had initially scoffed at that, and so did their members. They were tweeting all about it, which I found quite funny. And then they came back to the table, and I think the WGA realised, yes, this is actually their best and final offer, and we probably should have to take this now. That's what I'm getting from it anyway, because the WGA were quite bullish in their previous negotiating tactics, and I think they've realised that that's going to backfire on them big time. So then what happened, or what is happening, should be happening now, actually. I think it was on Tuesday, was the WGA was going to be putting this offer, this deal, to their members of the union for a vote, and it was going to pass, and then supposed to go back to work, but apparently they're not, because there's rumors and rumblings that they're going to stay with the SAG-AFTRA guys striking still in solidarity. So even though the members probably do want to get back to work because they're, losing out on their homes and things, they're probably not going to. So I'm going to bring someone else in to comment on that right now, and it is Andre.
Hey.
So do you want to comment on that, buddy?
I only heard the last 10 seconds of that, or 30
probably
seconds
enough,
or
to
that.
Be fair.
So
just the WGA strike and what we think of it.
Yeah. So I don't know the exact details of the question, but I will say is that I have many mixed feelings about it. If we begin with who came out on top, I think it was definitely the studios that
that's what I was thinking.
won in the end here, because they said going in that, this is their latest, best, and final offer. Unless there was a later offer, then that would have been their latest, best, and final offer. Just as their previous offer was their latest, best, and final offer. But when I read again, I haven't read like full details, but I have read some things. And when you look at the things that they demanded, some of the stuff they demanded was completely ridiculous and insane. But what I see is that there's hedges. The studios have agreed, we're going to give you writers' rooms, unless, there's the unless, which allows them to wiggle out of everything. And from the summaries I have seen so far, basically I see that, you're going to get a little bit more base rate pay and everything. That's kind of like the big victory. And everything else, all the big major stuff that they really wanted, there's wiggle room out of it. I think that the only reason that we get this is because the studios decided that, we can live with this. And if they had pushed much further into something the studios couldn't live with, the strike would have gone on until next year, and the studios probably would have been perfectly happy with that. I think the writers are much more desperate at this point than the studios. The studios have a backlog. There's going to come a point where they will hurt. But I think very few studios are at that point yet. Well, of course, there's some people in the studios. But here's like the thing. If the studio decides that, okay, we have to fire 500 people now, the decision makers, they don't hurt from that. They just fire some secretaries and various people further down the line. The real decision makers, they're not hurting anything. They won't be hurting for a long, long, long time to come. So they have all the time in the world to wait. Whereas the ones that don't have time to wait are the writers who maybe only get a couple of gigs a year, could be years in between. They may earn decent well in that time frame, but then it can be a long time until they get something else. They may not have all the resources in the world saved up. there's a big difference between writers. Some writers are hyper rich; they earn more than we will in our lifetimes. Others literally wait on the side in order to pay the bills.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are hurting.
That's about what my summation was when I sort of did my spiel. My pre-spiel was basically that the best and final offer was scoffed at initially, and then they probably came to the table, and the WGA realized that no, that actually is the best and final offer. You have to take it, or you can just go and get fucked, basically. So I think me and you are probably along the same train of thought there. That's the scenario that took place. Culture, you want to jump in on there?
I'm 100%. I'm 100% agreeing with
you. Very red. So
yeah. I'm agreeing with all of you guys. Yeah,
I might get some sunburn looking at you.
Culture, from here on out, your new nickname is Red.
He's trying to talk.
Sorry, mate.
Well, he can't. He's like too burnt. So.
Sorry, go on. We're sorry.
Okay. No, I think both of you gentlemen are 100% on it. I think the studios got the best of them. I think they were always going to get the best of them. They had better leverage 3 years ago during the global crisis where
you're right
was messing around, and that would have left them in a better position. The world has moved on, especially when they're using such topical hot button things like politics to drive any of their narrative points. Those are very, very old now. All of the material that we're going to get is going to be very, very old going forward, and it's going to feel not just stale, but just old. And they need things that they can put into production right away. The writers have just been writing. I mean, don't let anybody fool you. They were writing for, to pitch jobs when the strike came to an end. So the people
100%.
The people that get right back to work are the ones that don't have jobs, right? They're just going to be pitching whatever they wrote during their downtime. And the ones that are attached to shows and showrunners, they're still stuck because they all decided to work in solidarity with the actors. And look, I'm gonna be the naysayer here and say IATSE hasn't even gone yet. This is what nobody's paying attention to.
Well, that's what I was kind of saying, is this isn't as done deal as everybody's trying to present it as.
Yeah, you're not going back to work. I'm sorry, those of you who want to go back to work. I believe me, I have friends, they want to go back to work, but then you get farther down the road and okay, so then the actors finally get their deal. And a lot of their deal points are similar to what the writers' deal points were. They're still not going to get access to the data. Sorry. And they want people to use parrot analytics, which we all know is falsified garbage-tasticness. And then you still have IATSE out there. That organization is everybody that is below the line for the most part. The people who actually make it so you can make a film or a television show.
Yeah.
If they're not there, you can't do shit. Nope. Nobody's setting up cameras, running electrics, nothing. So.
Yeah. So the writers, when this is ratified, if it is ratified, and in every instance where it needs to be ratified, then the writer's strike is going to be over. But exactly as Red says, there's still the whole IATSE issue to deal with.
Well, not just that. This whole thing with the writers has not necessarily been set in stone yet either. That's what I've been trying to say. Like, there's still a few things that need to be done yet, and that's what I was trying to get to the bottom of. And I haven't read the whole proposal yet of what they're getting for their offer. But if this is the same offer that they refused back in a little bit ago, to me, this is where I agree with Andre that the studios are getting the better end of the deal here. And they're just accepting that, oh, we'll deal with this again in 3 years from now. So you're kicking the can down the road, I think, as Culture put it the other morning or yesterday morning too. And that's really what it feels like, because you haven't really dealt with any. What did you get? Did you get the transparency in the streaming? Did you get your writer's room minimums that you asked for? Did you get the AI situation dealt with? What did you get out of this? Right? Like, that's what I'm questioning, is you put everybody out of work for the past 100+ days now. What did you get? As as Thanos said, was asked, was it worth it? By Gamora, was it worth it?
Yeah. What demands have been met? What I mean, yeah.
But Tom, may I just
I
inject
correct
one
myself. She
thing
says
there?
at what cost? Sorry, but
Yeah.
yes, Andre.
Just to like, because this whole strike is one that has been very, very what's the
I don't know if
term
you're
I'm
looking for
looking for?
poorly timed, but that's one thing.
Well, that too, but I was looking for opprivande. Basically, it's kind of like torn everyone apart among the writers because you have different loyalties. You have those that are like really, hey, union and equity and all of these like labor socialist terms and everything. Those who are down with that, they're all behind the strike and everything. And then you have the ones that just want to go about their business, tell good stories, and get paid for it. And I wanted this thing to end long time ago. So I just think that as a general thing, we shouldn't say stuff like, you wanted this, you wanted that, because that's kind of like, this is one thing I don't like with the English language. You refers to both an individual and to a whole group. But in this particular case, it wasn't any individual writers that we have anything to do with that had anything to do with this, nor was it
no,
the
but
writers
the
as a
union
group. It
is
was
seen as a group.
specifically the WGA. So I would say, what did the WGA achieve with all of this on behalf of all the writers? Are they happy with what the WGA did for them? Was all the downtime, was it worth what the WGA achieved on behalf of all the writers? That's a question. I think it would be much more easier.
That's fair, but at the same time, they're all part of the union at the end of the day, right? All these writers, if they don't agree with it, yeah, they could leave the union. They could leave the union and go completely independent. And that's what I'm saying is like, you know what? Fuck them all, because they got themselves in this fucking mess. The studio, the actors, and the writers. Fuck them all is what I say.
I was trying to like
start from the top down, just begin. That's where I would be at. But yeah.
Okay, fine. Then we have different approaches. Like
we would lose some great people. I'm not saying you're wrong, but at the same time, it's like at what cost? At the cost of all this other garbage. That's at what cost?
Okay. But I love the opinion in the panel here, because here we have on one hand Olive Branch maybe here's a way to admit that it didn't work out, and the other, fuck you all, you deserve this. So, yeah.
I kind of do. Well, and really, it's the timing of it, because they just got out of COVID, right? You just get out of COVID, so what do? Shut everything fucking down again, you dumbasses. What did you think was going to happen? Sorry, this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, look, so a few things to go into, though, right? Is that they're never going to leave the unions anyway. So that's not, it's not something which they're going to do. The whole infrastructure of Hollywood in general, is such that everything's a union. You don't hire people that are non-union. If you do, it's considered blah blah blah, demonized, blah blah blah. So they're never going to.
Places actually have unions anymore, though.
Yeah, no, look, I'm just saying this is the scenario. I guess I'm not saying what I'm not condoning. I'm just saying this is the scenario. So they're not going to. No one's going to leave the unions at the end of the day. But everyone is right. Is that they shouldn't have done this during this time period. And there's a few things to go into, like what time is right. I mean, not right now. You've just come out of COVID, and then you're going into this as well. It's not exactly ideal. But they didn't really have any leverage at the end of the day, because and this was what they kept trying to write in, in the mainstream media, trying to bump up as if they had massive mainstream support. The Hollywood writers, and neither did the actors either. So this is universal across all of Hollywood. Hollywood in general doesn't have anyone's support. The general populace doesn't have. They don't have an interest in this. They don't care. The general populace is not interested. They don't have any sympathy or pity towards actors, writers, directors, etc. No one cares about them at the end of the day. And whether that's right or wrong, that's for you guys to decide at the point. It's subjective, isn't it?
Well, especially when people are paying $4 a gallon for gas. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's the same thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Athletes go on strike. That's the same thing when people see it. It's just like, really?
Absolutely. I mean, the general populace sees what day-to-day value someone has on their lives, daily. And when it comes to writers, directors, actors, it's very little for the day-to-day person, not least of all, of course, because of where the direction of Hollywood has been going at this point in time, which is obviously down, over, sort of overt separational, very much drawing the line down political motives and stuff. So, people's disinterest in all of this was sky high. It couldn't have been higher. So they didn't have anyone's support at the end of the day. Studios didn't really have anyone's support either, but the studios had more leverage. So, I'm with you guys on all of this. At the end of the day, the studios undoubtedly would have come out on top with all of this. I can't see anywhere, and I think this will be the same for the actors as well, to be fair. I can't see any of their demands being met to a degree where anyone can justify it and actually mean what they're saying, that they got out on top, or they had their demands being met. You'd have to be really disingenuous to claim that. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes on from here, because of course it's not actually over yet. I mean, obviously, the thumbnail says strike over. That's pending. It's imminent, isn't it? But it's dependent on everyone approving it, and then are they going to stand in solidarity with SAG? The actors have significantly more money than the writers did, and the writers are going down, and the actors chose to strike alongside the WGA, not the other way around. So it'll be interesting, and I do wonder whether that will separate at that point.
Well, don't be mistaken. They have a lot more to lose with the AI thing than some of the writers do.
Who?
Right?
Sorry, actors.
The actors.
Yeah,
because that's the thing, is we're at a point right now where you can't even believe a video you see on Twitter without double checking it anymore.
Oh yeah,
right?
No, I agree.
You can kind of tell when something's written by AI. Still, there's still that inhumane thing about it.
Words and stuff like that.
I think the writers are going to do what they think is right, which is to stand next to the folks that are the actors. And I think that
you say that's right. Do what's right.
Well, no, what they think is right. And again, I mean, there are certain politics in the background that play out, but the actors joined after 2 months, right? They were almost 2 months in. The writers were before the actors joined, I believe, something like that, 5-6 weeks, maybe 2 months, and then they jumped in, and now are they going to sit out an extra few weeks, or are they going to really push for all their issues, deal points to be manipulated? I can't answer that question. Somebody in that guild probably could, but it doesn't put them back to work. And as Andre pointed out, when he popped in with no preparation, saying that this is not ratified yet.
Yeah.
When? Oh yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, why do they keep saying that it could be the beginning or sometime during the first few weeks of October that the nighttime shows will return?
Well, because they're putting it to them right now. They're putting it to the
also, I think they're going to be, because they are so important for the industry, and you see this the whole time. Like, what has the entertainment media complex used as the excuse to hide every single flop that's been all of the summer around? Oh, they couldn't promote the movie because the stars couldn't go on the nighttime live shows, because that is the service that we offer. Just keep that in mind. The entirety of the entertainment media complex, the cottage industry, whatever the hell the term is around Hollywood, are these talk shows. That is part of the media. That's the intersection where the media and showbiz meet. It's more part of the media. So they are really pushing for it, because this is something that feeds the entire ecosystem. The clips that are from there are what is used to feed all of the articles and stuff like that. So this is something that goes beyond just Hollywood. The entirety of the media wants these things to come back, because they are hurting as well, because they have less to write about. They want all these things. The studios, they think that they need the controlled environments for interviews that these shows represent. So, they will be coming back real fast. There's
all of them need to
first things to come back. Yeah,
look, any of them that are all for this equity bullshit and all this woke nonsense and all this other crap, they should just separate out into their own fucking union, because what we have here is a situation where people can't even work when they normally would. And this is the thing that I could not understand, is the last time we had this strike, they still did the talk shows. They just didn't have written segments. That's all. Right. So I don't understand why they did it this way. And even Script Doctor and a few others who were, in the industry couldn't even understand it either. Because I said, that's part of the reason why nobody cares about the plight of the writers and the actors right now, because they're not missing these nighttime shows. They don't care. And if you,
at this point,
at least before we noticed, because the show would start, you wouldn't have a monologue, you would go straight into the interview section, and usually at that time, I can't remember, I think they could still have actors be interviewed, so like that wasn't a problem. But even still, like at that point, we at least noticed the difference to where it was still on our minds constantly, and we're being reminded through those various ways. At this point, nobody gives a shit because nobody's watching those shows anyway. They don't miss them. And with streaming, it's not the same as regular television, right? When you had terrestrial television and everybody was watching the same thing all the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, no one's going to miss. No one did miss.
Especially when you got 100 years worth of stuff you can go through if you really wanted to.
Yeah. And no one wants them to come back anyway. They're wholly irrelevant. They don't have any influence like they did before.
I actively don't want them to come back ever.
No,
I learned to dislike them so much.
Frankly.
But that's just me. That's not going to happen, though. But
yeah. No, they're just bloody embarrassing.